is on a car course that runs and drives, you would actually need to start the car, engine running, check the transmission fluid level, top it off, get it full, but then you're going to go ahead and proceed to put the vehicle in reverse and let it sit there for 2 or 3 seconds, and then drop it into neutral. Let it sit there 2 or 3 seconds, drive, and then your lower gears accordingly. And if you don't do that, there is a chance you could be up to even a quart or two low on fluid, and you drive off and cause damage to the transmission. So I'm very particular with this because I had an experience one time that I thought I was good. I thought I ran it through the gears. And then after a road test, I came back, because you do want to road test a car that you do this kind of service on too. I found out I was a quart low. And that's enough. You could cause some damage to the transmission. Last thing you want to do is damage your car, customer's car. So in that kind of situation, boy, you know, you just want to take the extra time to go for a quick road test and make sure you're full. So I'm going to go back over here and just going to talk to you about some other options why these guys tighten all these bolts up here. On the other video we showed you, we had the PF5. This is just another option, but keep in mind that if you do take this option, it's a 16 quart flush. Okay, you can't go any less. If you were to do the PXT option here, you can really put any amount of fluid you want in there, but you need to flush enough. So it depends on the size of your vehicle there. There's nothing wrong with doing the full 16 quarts on this one as well. You know, how many quarts are we going to need? Well, you're going to have to check the owner's manual for capacity. And on this particular vehicle, we're anticipating about 6 quarts. And if you look over here, you're like, well, wait a minute, these guys aren't even ready. Do we even have 6 quarts? Because we've got a 1 gallon container and an extra quart here. So the answer to that is no. But again, we are going to reuse this fluid. Since it's done for demonstration purposes, it's going to go back on the lot. This is our extra fluid. So if we were to spill some fluid and so forth, that we would have an avenue to be successful. Okay. So once we get all the bolts good and snug over here, we are going to move into getting it torqued with the torque wrench. Very important part of it. Even if you have been doing this a long time and you're thinking, oh gosh, I know how tight I need to go with this. It is nice just to be able to tell a customer, we torqued the pan bolts to this spec. This is what the manufacturer specified, and you know it was done right. So when we go ahead and we move into the torque wrench here, we're going to start off on one side, kind of skip to the other side. As you can see, we're just getting started here. This is a clicker style torque wrench, so we're going to hear a light little click, just barely. We're going to skip to the other side of it. And you can see where our technician here is coming around, and he's going to give it another little clip, just a light little click. So you can use a needle beam, you can use a clicker style torque wrench, you can use a new electronic one. It's totally up to you. I will say that some brands are better than others. If you can afford it, Snap-on makes a really nice one. That's what we're using here today. But they're not free. You know, you put Snap-on on something and you expect good quality, but it is going to come at a price too. So as he's continuing here, when he's all done, he's going to come back around in kind of a circular fashion just to confirm that we got them all. Because every once in a while it's possible that you're doing one of these jobs and you're like, you know, I think I got it all, but what if you missed one? Well, that's where it's going to leak. And when you send a car home with somebody that leaks in their driveway or their garage, not a good thing for you and your company. So again, this is the pan drop. Not everybody does this anymore. Should it be done? Yeah. I mean, you just saw that filter that came out. You saw when we pulled the pan on this vehicle here that there was some grime in the bottom there, that there's no way to get it out unless you physically drop the pan. So it should be nice if there was an easier way to do it. There really isn't. You can flush it, but you got to drop the pan to get the filter out. So we're going to let him finish going around and getting all those torqued up. And I want to just point out a couple things with the fluid over here. not all fluid is compatible with this vehicle. This particular fluid here says it is a Deck 6, okay? And that will work for this particular vehicle. Originally this car would have had a Dex 3 fluid, but Deck 6 has superseded it. So that means that by superseding it, we're fine to go ahead and use this fluid. Notice the word synthetic though, so the price is going to be a little bit higher. If you went back to the original type fluid that would have came in this car, it would cost a little bit less. And as soon as we get that pan tight there, gentlemen, go ahead and drop the car back down, and we're going to add some fluid to it. So, oh yeah, take your time there. We're going to go back around, and we're just double checking everything here, because the last thing we want to do is have a leak. Yeah, fortunately it's our car, it's not a customer's car if it did, but still, we don't want to leak on the ground in the shop here. So we're going to do it right. Oh yeah, see what he's doing around there? He's just double checking. He's already torqued everything. He knows it's all torqued down flat. He's just saying, you know what if I missed it? And if you guys are good, let's go ahead and send her down. Excellent work to do. We got some ace technicians helping us. Couldn't do this kind of work without them. So we lost a little bit of fluid. We're going to clean up the floor when we're done. We're not going to leave it like that, but for now we're trying to scoot the video along. So we're going to go ahead and grab the funnel, and we're going to grab the fluid that we did take out. And you can see our dipstick tube is right back here. This car is kind of nice because we don't have to worry about having a difficult time adding fluid. Some of the newer cars are not so nice to us though. Some manufacturers have gone to a fluid that they claim is good for the life of the car. I don't agree with that, but they seem to. This is going to be a little challenging here because we have a big tub of fluid that we're trying to get in there, and we're not trying to make a big mess. Okay, so you can see we've got some fluid here. This is the fluid that came out of it though, and you know, it's not the cleanest fluid. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. Yeah, it should be nice and pink and red. It's even worse than I thought. So we're going to pause at this point, and you're not going to see us because we have some fluid, but not enough right here on hand. In the tool department here, we do have some available. That's going to add a few more minutes as we go over there and get that. So I'm just going to describe the rest of the video, because I really don't want to put that kind of fluid back in it. Once we add the appropriate amount, I want you to realize though that if you look up capacity in the owner's manual, that is probably transmission dry. So be conservative with that, because there's not a drain plug to pull out fluid. And this transmission right now is not dry. It still has fluid sitting in the torque converter, some in the valve body, in the transmission cooler lines. So I would tend to kind of evaluate how much you took out. And looking at that tub there, I'll tell you what, I'm going to start with about 5 quarts, and then I'm going to start checking it on the stick. And once we get to a point where it is full on the stick, meaning that I've got, you know, the 2 dots here, and I'm on the top side of it. Once it's full, we then are going to start the car. And with the engine running, we're going to recheck the fluid. Okay, so by then, at that point, we're going to have the funnel out, and we won't need that anymore. But with the engine running, yes, that's correct, the engine running, we're going to go back in, and we're going to check the fluid level, and we're going to pull out that stick. And if it's not on full, we're going to add fluid. Okay, and if it is full, well, then we still need to run it through the gears, because the last thing we want to do is have a false read. Engine running, put it in reverse, let it set a couple seconds. Put it in neutral, let it set a couple seconds. Come back to park, recheck it. If the fluid level is then full, you're good to go for that road test. But remember, you've done a lot of work today. I would not want to send this home with somebody without doing a road test. We're going to road test, recheck on level ground, and you might have to add a pint, might need to add a little bit. And after that, it's clear sailing. You just saved yourself a ton of money. What do dealerships charge for this nowadays? On average, several $100s. You can pick up the fluid yourself. and do it for a lot less. So I hope you found this helpful. The pan drop is the way to go. If you have the time, make sure you pick up the parts ahead of time. Have a good afternoon.